Welcome to Tales of Resilience, a podcast honoring the heart behind animal rescue. I'm your host, Jolene Feeney, a mental health therapist, lifelong animal lover, and founder of Zodipaws and Animal Rescue Hub. This is a space for real conversations with the people who care for animals when no one else can. From shelter teams and wildlife rehabbers to transporters, vet techs, and nonprofit leaders. We talk about the joy, the grief, the burnout, and the moments that remind us why we keep showing up. Whether you've lived this work or just want to understand it more deeply, thank you for listening. Let's get into today's story. This episode may include references of animal suffering and death, as well as themes of mental health, including suicide. Welcome to Tales of Resilience. I'm your host, Jolene, and today I'm joined by Crystal Wedra, a full-time firefighter and EMT, psychic medium, and of course, founder of Spooky Whiskers Rescue. Crystal's journey into rescue work began with a single Facebook post about a feral cat colony. What she found there shocked her, and she knew she couldn't look away. Since then, she has dedicated herself to saving feral and at-risk cats through her nonprofit, Spooky Whiskers Rescue. Unlike traditional trap, neuter, and release programs, Spooky Whiskers goes further, socializing and rehoming entire colonies so the cats don't just survive, but truly thrive in loving homes. Crystal's work is reshaping what rescues mean. Crystal, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. That was quite an intro. I feel that's a lot to live up to.
I think it's easy to be humble in the work, but you are doing a lot, and I think it's worth the recognition. So thank you for participating in this conversation. So obviously I highlighted a bit that you kind of got into this a little bit by happenstance, but can you maybe start us off by talking a little bit about Spooky Whiskers Rescue and ultimately your journey. And I know that you're also multifaceted in other areas that we can talk about too, but let's start with the rescue.
So Spooky Whiskers Rescue is a feral cat rescue. And I wanted to focus specifically on feral cats because there's so many other rescues that they just immediately take in all the friendlies, right? All the kittens, all the easier cases because of just lack of resources. And maybe it's just one person, So they'll take in, I would say, not like the easier cases, but the less time consuming cases. Because they're able to move them along faster and be able to help more. So they do they help a much bigger scale than what I am able to do within a certain time frame. So when I was watching other rescues doing this, and they're doing amazing work, I realized that there were a lot of cats that are just, born into these horrible situations. They're being abused, they're being neglected. There's so much overpopulation, so there's all these genetic deformities and medical conditions. And because they're traumatized by being born into a feral colony, we're kind of forced to just leave them out there because there's no help for them. And you can only do so much with what you have. And I just was really shocked that there wasn't really anything in place other than TNR for feral cats. So I wanted to do something that was specifically oriented for them. And my initial goal was, let's just focus on one colony at a time, trap the entire colony, bring them home like one big, happy, dysfunctional family, figure it out, and then go from there. And then, once you get the ones that can be rehomed, and then you have the ones that are going to be a little bit longer, you put them into kind of like a sanctuary status, work in progress, and then you move on to the next colony. And then that way you're completely removing cats from the streets, which also takes care of a lot of other problems. Like there's cats, like just feral cats are becoming America's most invasive species.
Wow.
They are actually causing certain small mammals and insects and reptiles to become extinct or endangered.
Really?
Because they'll eat anything.
Sure.
So it's not even just like a people problem that there's cats everywhere. It's an environment problem. And that doesn't even go into the whole like spread of disease and stuff like that. So when I started looking into it, I realized that it was such a bigger picture than I could ever have imagined. And I'm like, I don't think anybody really knows all of this stuff because I didn't know. And I'm an animal lover. I'm obsessed with cats, always have been. And I had no idea. So how is someone else supposed to know?
Mm.
Um, but then I realized that the colony that I first started with when I had this idea was 25 cats. In the rescue world, that's nothing.
Right.
That's like, like the teeniest little bit. Um, and then I found out the next colony I went to, you may see 50 cats, but there's 300 you don't see.
Right.
And so that goal where I wanted to start out as taking an entire colony inside then became that's not physically possible with the resources I have. So we do still work with other organizations in our area to help with TNR as well as TNRing ourselves.
Mhm.
But my new goal is to work on a colony until that colony is completed. And what that means is until I can get the overpopulation under control and have more help, I won't be able to take in every single cat like I initially wanted to.
Mhm.
That still is my goal, and I will be there one day. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it one day. I know it's impossible, but I don't care. I'm doing it. But for now, I'm trying to live in reality and do what I can. Um, and I'm going to have certain cats, TNR, that are so ungodly feral that it may take several years to be able to get them socialized. The ones that, if there's any kittens, and that's like up to a year, they're automatically coming in.
Mm.
Are there any that are slightly friendly coming in? Any with medical disabilities or illnesses that would not be able to make it outside, and that's physical or medical, coming in.
Mm.
So I'm trying to develop a system where we all work together because in our area, I noticed too, it's kind of cliquey, like high school.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not saying that meanly. I think people have really struggled without any help. And I think they've probably been burned a million times by people who said they wanted to help and then they ended up hurting more than helping. And because of that, some of the places in our area are very like, no, we got it. And I'm like, but we all have the same goal.
Right.
So let's work together. But I have been able to get with a couple of them and be able to, they're doing TNR efforts every day. I can't do that because I have a lot of critical cases. So I'm saying, while you guys are out there TNRing at these colonies that I'm keeping an eye on, give me those kittens, those medical cases, those physical disabilities, the ones that can be socialized with a short amount of time, bring them to me, and then you don't have to worry about them and you can keep doing TNR.
Yeah.
So we're kind of all working together by doing that. And that's unfortunately, that's what I'm capable of doing right now.
Mhm.
I don't like it. I don't like returning any cat.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of how bad the overpopulation is here in South Carolina, I don't have any other options until I can really build that network and that community that I want to build with Spooky Whiskers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you speaking about the local aspect too. We have, I've spoken with PDX cat trappers here. They do the TNR and work with the Feral Cat Coalition in Oregon. And so really, it was really fascinating to learn their perspective. And, they just successfully TNR'd a whole colony at this. Yeah, it took a while, obviously, but
Oh
this
yeah.
whole colony at a mobile home park.
Mhm.
And so that was a big accomplishment. So, yeah, I was curious about, in South Carolina, what is the situation there? Like, what are you noticing? I mean, I hear that, like you said, it's a major problem just in the most general sense, but what does it look like in your area?
I know that in the southeastern US in general, just because of, I think there's numerous different factors. We don't have laws in place that are able to protect animals in the way that they need to be protected, especially domesticated animals, that people in these areas have kind of like a very older mindset of pets are not really family members. It's more of like an asset of yours or property. And I'm not saying that's everybody in the Southeast, but that's a problem that I have run into. Like, for instance, in South Carolina, and this is about dogs, not cats, but there is a law here in my county that says if you have a hunting dog labeled as a hunting dog
Okay.
legally, you don't have to offer it food, water, or shelter.
Wow.
And that's wild
That
to
is
me
wild.
because so you're saying if I, most of the time that's going to be some kind of hound or beagle,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a beagle as a pet, I am required to do certain things. But if I call into the county and say, hey, this beagle that is my pet, it's my hunting dog. Now I don't have to offer it any shelter or food or water. And that's okay.
Wow.
That is insane. It's a living, breathing thing. Like,
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't, I can't. I don't agree with it.
Mhm.
And for cats, it's even less. It's even
Okay.
less protection. So, and not only that, but we have such a massive overpopulation and we have a massive dogfighting problem.
Mm.
The dog fighters are going to take that overpopulation to their advantage because they're stealing them for bait or they're stealing them. You find a stray dog or something that's the breed or style that you want,
Yeah.
you're going to take it in and use it. So to them, this is free to run their business. It's
Yeah.
good for them. Uh, and then those people, unfortunately, know people in high places. And those people are doing everything they can to not change the laws because then it hurts them because they're tied to the other bad, corrupt organizations.
Wow.
And that was also very shocking to find out in my area. I did not know that was a thing. So you're dealing with the lack of education on
Mm-hmm.
just people in general in this area, not really understanding what it takes to own a pet for their, longevity of their life. And that's just because it's not taught.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the mindset of, these are out in the middle of nowhere farming communities. Animals were used more as an asset and property than a pet. So you have that mindset coming into it. And then you have these corrupt organizations that are specifically there to hurt and abuse animals.
Mm.
And they're tied in with some of the people that you need to help you push these narratives for safety laws. So how do you're in this massive web of just garbage. And it's like, where do you even begin to start to make a difference? And if you get too big into making a difference, you get too popular, too many people find out who you are, or you open your mouth too much,
Mm.
something gonna happen, you
That's a
know?
scary.
It is
Yeah.
scary, but it's
Yeah.
true.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people don't talk about that because if you talk about it, you're a target.
Mm.
But I don't care. Which is which is why I get in trouble a lot.
I
But
like that spirit.
you have to bring awareness,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately. I could sit here and just say that it's overpopulation, but that's not true. It's the whole picture. You need to be aware of every single contributing factor that goes into the actual problem, or you're just never going to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it's like for me in South Carolina specifically, but I'm not the only one that's dealing with every single issue I just listed.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but because of the climate,
Yeah.
we have multiple kitten seasons. Up north, and this is going to sound terrible, but it's the truth. It gets so cold that a lot of cats die off if they're outside
Mm. Okay. Yep.
because it's just not, they can't live through it. Here, we don't get temperatures like that.
Yeah.
So our cats are having multiple litters throughout the summer and the fall. So it starts in spring, goes through the summer, and then all the way through the fall. And most other places in the fall it's too cold and they're not reproducing. But here you're having two, three litters every kitten season.
Mm,
And one cat can have up to 10 kittens. So
yeah.
that's 30 kittens in a 6 month period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine what that's doing to the overpopulation. And that's just from one cat.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So it's like, how do you catch up?
Yeah, that was one thing that really amazed me when I started talking with the PDX cat trappers is this life cycle and how quickly things can get out of control. And yeah, it was just mind blowing, just you don't really, from an outsider perspective, when you're totally naive to the situation, it's not even something you can conceive of. But as you learn about it, like you said, that education piece, it's so critical to trying to make these changes.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, you're changing an entire culture
Hmm.
on top of, corruption in certain agencies, and then also trying to get people to work together to do something about it.
Right.
It's like a constant brick wall that you're hitting, and you just have to be passionate and stubborn enough to not care and just keep going.
So that's me. I can do that. Sign me up.
Yeah. I'm like, I have a really strong moral justice to the point that I have gotten in trouble a couple of times. So I'm probably the person for this job.
That's perfect. I mean, obviously we'll talk more about it as we get along, but as uh as we know, it takes a certain level of resiliency and strength and certainly a passion for your mission to keep moving forward.
Right.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about you then. So, you are someone who juggles a lot, it seems like, in your day-to-day life. But yeah, give people an insight of who Crystal is. How did you get here? What are you about?
I always get nervous when this question is asked to me. The questions of like, how would you describe yourself to someone else? Or like, what are you doing nowadays? Because there's like 80,000 things for both of those answers. And I'm like, what are the right ones and what ones don't make me seem crazy? Um, but I have grown up in the South my whole life, but I was raised by Northerners.
Mm,
So I've always kind of not felt like I super fit in here. On top of that, I am late diagnosed autistic and ADHD. I
okay.
didn't find out till a couple years ago. That was eye-opening because that explained literally my whole life. On top of that, I have been able to speak to the dead without wanting to since I was 5 years old. It's just a gift that has been passed down in my family. And having that ability in the deep religious South
Mm-hmm.
was not a good time. It was very difficult because I had no one to turn to talk to about it because you're not allowed to talk about it. It's not real, for one, down here. It's not real.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not allowed to be talked about. And if you do, it's just like you're just immediately shunned.
Mm, mhm.
And I've had, when I did finally trust somebody enough to confide in them and tell them, hey, this is something I've been able to do, it was met with, you're a Satanist or you're a devil worshiper or a witch. And I'm like, are we in the 1600s right now? Like, what is going on? And these are people I had trusted, I had known
Yeah.
for years. And this
Yeah.
was the response I was getting just because of religion.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a really difficult part of me that I had to hide for my whole life. And then I think it was about 2 years ago, I just said, you know what? Like, this is me. I have been able to help a lot of people undercover
Yeah.
when I do use my abilities, and I'm tired of hiding. I don't want to hide anymore. And if people don't like it, Honestly, they can just F off. I don't care more. I'm just not gonna hide it anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
This is truly me.
yeah.
And so that came along with, I think it was because it was around the same time that I was diagnosed with my autism and ADHD. So it was a lot of like unmasking and being like my true self.
Mm,
And um, that has been an amazing process, but that's also helped me get to where I am today with rescue is because I'm like, I'm not hiding anymore. This is really who I am. I drop F-bombs. I talk to the dead. I live in a creepy haunted house. I rescue a bazillion cats. I love it. I'm not going to stop. And I collect creepy antiques and I don't care if you don't like it.
yeah.
Um, I also did FX makeup for a long time. I
Oh.
love FX makeup. For some reason, a lot of people would contact me about wedding makeup
Hmm.
because of that. And I'm like, well, do you want to be a zombie? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, but like I make zombies.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't know how I can assist you with beauty makeup. But yeah, I'm a very outgoing person, and I'm also I don't know if it's the autism with the moral justice or if it's just me, but I've been wronged a lot. I've been through a lot of trauma outside of my work. You would think with being a firefighter, that's where my trauma comes from, but it actually doesn't. It comes from my personal life. And I am really adamant about standing up for myself as well as others, especially others who feel like they can't stand up.
Mm,
Um, it really bothers me to see people being treated like unfairly.
yeah.
And I, and that's why I've said multiple times, I get in trouble a lot because of that, because I won't back down. And I think in this area too, it's very the culture that like the female just shuts the fuck up and you do what you're told because you were told. And I'm like, hard pass, no. And that's not received very well, you know.
Right, right. Yeah.
That's happened a lot in my job.
Mm,
So
mm.
I I literally just uploaded a shirt today on our merch and it says I will never be known as a woman that kept her mouth shut. And it's a woman with a megaphone.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
it's because of that, because it's like I'm not going away, you know.
Mm, yes.
But yeah, that's kind of how my personality is and some things about me.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just a weirdo and I'm okay with being a weirdo and I try my best not to hide any pieces of me anymore. It's part of my unmasking and I'm still in the South, so it is difficult. I still get very hateful things said to me
Mm,
for being a medium or interested in creepy things or cat rescue or even the fire department, even in uniform, I have people
mm.
say nasty things to me because they don't want a female in that job,
Right,
which
right.
is wild. It's crazy. Like, what makes you think you can say such nasty things to a total stranger that you know nothing about out in a
Mhm.
public setting?
Yeah.
Like, the audacity.
It's pretty wild what people are willing to say, for sure.
It is. I had a guy come up to me and he just out of nowhere, we were at the grocery store. So we're
Mhm.
trying to make groceries for dinner. And he just stopped me, like put his hand on my shoulder. And I was like, whoa,
Mhm.
let's not touch someone without consent, sir. Because it wasn't like a pat, it was like a
Yeah,
grab.
yeah.
And that I think anybody would immediately be on the defensive, like, is this something I need to be concerned about as a threat? Or, you know, are they just
Mhm.
getting my attention?
Right.
So that already set the mood a little weird. And he said, I bet you didn't drag that dummy, insinuating that I wasn't capable of dragging the dummy for the physical fitness test to be at the fire department. He's like, they probably just wanted a woman, you know, for their voting or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't even know, I didn't know this man existed. I didn't look at him. I didn't
Yeah,
say anything
yeah.
to him. He just inserted himself into my life and then said that.
Oof.
And I was like, well, I did drag it, or I wouldn't be standing here in this uniform. And if you would like me to show you how, I can, because it looks like I'm staring at a dummy right now.
That's
He
very
was,
quick. Yeah.
yeah, he was like, excuse me. I'm like, you heard what I said.
Uh-huh.
And I just walked away. But it's just like, why do you think it's okay to say something like that?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's rough.
I would never.
I
Would
couldn't even imagine. No.
no. That's so hateful.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, well, I mean, I will say that in my conversations, often, there are always people who have something to say. There's always opinions. And sometimes that is the hardest part about navigating what you're doing. I mean, the things that you sign up for, are already going to be challenging in their own right. But I guess for lack of a better word right now, I guess the peanut gallery comments, and figuring out how do you sift through that? How do you deal with it or ignore it or whatever the approach is.
I try to, a lot of times I don't even address it
Mm-hmm.
because it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
I barely have time to address the people that I want to address who are making a difference by helping and supporting us.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to take time away from them or the animals that I need or my family to address people who are just nasty people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why you woke up and drank Haterade this morning, but I tell people all the time when they come onto my page and they say something nasty or on my lives, I'm like, no one's making you be here.
Yeah.
No one told you you
Yeah.
had to be here. No one told you you had to like me. You
Yeah.
don't have to like me. You don't have to like what I'm doing, but you also don't have to leave nasty comments.
Right. Yes. I
Just
know.
leave.
I know.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Not everybody, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a nasty person.
Yeah.
So just leave.
Yeah.
My
Well,
followers are on them before I can even say
no,
anything.
well, that's true. I mean, that's the power of the community that you build. And I mean, even just in sharing that we were going to speak, obviously you have some, I think, dedicated followers who've commented about their excitement. So you've definitely, I know you've been operating, you just hit your 1 year mark. So congratulations.
I didn't know
And
we were
then,
going to make it there for a
yeah,
while.
yeah. And so in that time, you've obviously really made an impact with a good base of supporters. So
Mhm.
congratulations on that.
It's really, it's helped me out, I think, mentally having the amazing supporters that we have because you got to think with my job as a firefighter and an EMT, I see the worst of the worst every day. And that's just my job. And that's fine. That's what I signed up for. And I'm used to it. But it's not the trauma of seeing that that bothers me. It's the fact that I see how bad people can be to other people. And it really sucks knowing that people are capable of such awful things
Mm-hmm.
and that they do it just because they want to. It's not even like they're forced into it. If you're forced into doing a bad thing, that's different than
Mm-hmm.
you're just a bad person doing bad things.
Right.
Fortunately, I see that a lot. And I see that a lot with cat rescue too. There's people that I have to deal with on a daily basis that I really wish I could just punch in the face. And it's not going to solve anything. So I don't.
Yeah.
But, they're just awful, awful people.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of get down when that's all you deal with is people who are just awful, awful to themselves, awful to everyone around them, awful to animals, just for the sake of being nasty. And when I built this kind of community by total accident, I had people that would literally send me a card. They would figure out what my address was, which at first you think is terrifying because it is. But they would send me a handwritten card
Mm-hmm.
with a gift card that's like, hey, go to Starbucks and get yourself something. I hope that you're having a great day. I love watching your stories. You're making a difference in my life. Or a comment, I had somebody who had, they were paralyzed and they were watching a video of Poe, which is one of our paralyzed cats.
Mm.
And he started walking and they said, this made me want to go back to physical therapy.
Oh,
This made me want to try again. I just got goosebumps from that.
yeah.
I cried hearing that. That's insane. And just to think that like these people are so nice. And like when I'm, literally crying on a live to strangers because my life is chaos and I'm just,
Mm.
I'm just at a down point and I'm just tired and I'm burnt out. And I just got overwhelmed. And they're like getting on there, taking parts out of their day to tell a stranger, you make a difference.
Yeah.
And it's okay to cry. And it's okay to be burnt out. Take
Hmm.
a break. And then
Hmm.
they had like literally 10 different ones stay on a live with me for a solid hour, just being like, do you want to just sit here? Like, we'll just sit here.
Oh,
Are you okay? Like, and I felt so much better afterwards. Like, these are strangers
yeah.
that are, making time to make sure I'm okay. And it's just, it makes me have faith in humanity again because in my day-to-day life, I don't really have a reason to have faith
Mm,
in humanity,
hmm. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So they are, my supporters are important to me in so many ways. And it's not just the cat rescue, the funding, the donations, the likes, the comments, the content creator, how many followers do you have?
Right.
It's for my own personal well-being as well. They're becoming something that has helped me with my own mental health struggles as they happen in real
Hmm.
time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's incredibly touching. And yeah, I think beyond that, I mean, obviously the work, it's a lot of self-sacrifice to do the rescue work, right? It's not paid work. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. I think people forget that. Like, I think people forget that you're dedicating your spare time um, to do what you're doing. And I think, to allow people to bear witness to that, I think is just, it's a real, I mean, certainly it's vulnerable, but I think it allows people to really see a human behind an operation.
Right.
And like you said, even that connection to just the emotional rawness that everyone experiences. I mean, there's a human component here where everyone just has, they don't know your exact moment of suffering, but we know of suffering. And so we can really connect on a human level and have that compassion. And yeah, I think it helps people be seen and understood. And I think that's really lovely that you have supporters like that.
I think that with the way technology is and everybody has social media, I mean, you have access to celebrities that you would never, ever have access to,
Yeah.
20 years ago. And it's easy to forget just even the local content creator or influencer or celebrity, whatever you want to call them,
Mhm.
uh, is an actual person because you're used to going to them for your content, right? This is
Mhm.
what you like to watch that gives you a good feeling for that day.
Yeah.
And it's hard to remind yourself that this person is not the person you are seeing on the screen all the time.
Yeah.
This is a part of their job, whatever it is. And especially with rescue work, you might have just buried four kittens and bawling your eyes out, and you have to suck it up and turn those ring lights on and get on there and raise funds because there's four more kittens on death's door. And if you
Mhm.
don't get money, you're not saving them either.
Yeah.
Or it's just you've been so busy you didn't make any updates. And people are wondering, where are the updates? I gave you money. Where are you? And it's
Yeah.
like, I haven't had
Yeah.
anybody say that to me, but you kind of like feel a responsibility of
Mhm.
that. People are giving you their hard-earned money and you owe them something in return. And so it is easy to forget that this person has a life outside of what you're seeing on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think that kind of shifts us nicely into this discussion about kind of resiliency. And you mentioned the word burnout before, so I want to touch on that too. But I guess in your words, how would you define resiliency?
I think that it can be like a spectrum. uh, because there's so many different ways you could technically be resilient. It's a very vague term for such a broad answer. um, I think being resilient can be being able to take the constantly negative energy and bad things that either people are doing or saying or you're seeing.
Yeah.
I think having to take care of your own mental health awareness and being mindful of that on top of all the stuff that you have to do is also being resilient. I think that having people tell you that what you're doing is wrong or whatever, more negative backlash and trying to push you down or try and make you feel like that what you're doing isn't right, is also being resilient by standing up to them and being like, no, this is what I believe in and this is what I'm doing. And standing up for yourself is really big, and standing up for others. I think resilient can also kind of, for me, turns into resourceful
Yeah.
because you don't have, the perfect setup. You have me, I have two broken cars, and I pick which one is working that day and I drive it
Yeah.
and I figure it out. I tell myself all the time, I just have to figure it out because no one's coming to save you.
Hmm.
No money truck coming to save you financially.
Yeah.
There's no one coming to fix this wiring in your home. There's no one coming to fix this tire, so you got to figure it out. And I think that part of being resourceful in many different avenues of what could happen during your life while you're doing this work is also a form of resilience.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with all of that. And I think that as you were talking about that, resourcefulness and adaptability, I just think that that's such a huge part of that resiliency piece, being able to like, uh, yeah, I guess see obstacles and not give up, right? And just
Right.
throw your hands up and just say, okay, how are we going to figure this out? Right. And yeah, I think that's such a huge part of that resiliency piece.
I think that is something that is taught too. And unfortunately is not as common nowadays to teach as it was, in previous generations. The figure it out mindset is something that I learned as a wake up call when I was 18 years old. I got put into a position at a graphic designing company that I never should have been hired into, just because I guess I was funny and likable. I don't know. But I was not qualified for the
Yeah.
job. I
Yeah.
should not have been hired. And the person who was there with me, who was the only other person in that department who was waiting on somebody to be hired to help him, he was pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he had every right to be pissed. I would have been too. I'd have been furious.
Yeah.
And so there were things that I would ask him, like, how do you do this? Well, how do you do that? And he's like, these are things that if they had hired a qualified person, I wouldn't have to sit here and explain it
Right.
to you. And now I'm having to take more time away when I'm supposed to have had somebody who's going to be helping, and you're actually putting me behind. So eventually he would get so mad, he would just be like, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean figure it out? And he was like, seriously, your looks, your funniness, your charisma, he said, it's not going to get you shit here. Figure it out. And he just turned his little office chair around. And I was like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
like, what an a-hole, And I was so mad. But that incident, that one thing that happened to me has shaped my entire life because he was right.
Yeah.
It was not his responsibility to teach me things that I should have already known. It's not my fault that they hired me either.
Right. Exactly.
But it taught me a life lesson of like, there may not be someone here to bail you out.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to figure it out. There may not be anyone there to walk you through it, and you are going to have to find other means to get through whatever obstacle is being thrown at you. And that is not something that had ever been taught to me before that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so my entire life has developed into, if something happens and I don't know how to do it, or I don't know how to fix it, or whatever, I immediately go down a checklist of like, do I know anybody that knows how to do this that I can call? If I don't, okay, go on YouTube. Is there a
Yeah.
video that can teach me
Exactly.
how to do this? You know,
Exactly.
okay, there's nothing on that. Go to the store where I need the supplies and just ask somebody, and it's just like this line of constantly just not giving up
Yeah.
and figuring it out on your own. And I do not see that in many people,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be taught it.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that. I think that there are some people I think that have a certain resiliency factor about them, just kind of naturally in some ways. But you're absolutely right. It is a taught, a learned kind of strategy to kind of survive in the world ultimately.
Right.
Yeah.
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 I'm very thankful for him now, even though at the time I was like, what a mean person.
Totally. Yeah.
But now I teach that lesson to my kids. They're like, the remote's not working. And I'm like, well, why isn't it working? They're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, look at it. Did you check the batteries? Are the batteries like good? Is there acid around them? Like, is the TV actually plugged in? Like, let's go through a checklist
Do some
before you
problem solving.
out, just give up because the remote doesn't work. But that's, being taught to them though. And I mean, and sometimes there's nothing you can do. And you have to also learn that when you've gone through all of those avenues of trying to figure something out and you realize that now you're spending more time and money than
Mm,
is really worth the end goal,
yeah.
you have to table it and move on. That is also a lesson that I've had to learn. That one took me a lot longer.
Yeah. Well, you
I'm
did
like,
say I think you're a little stubborn, so I understand that.
yeah. But that's another one that I had to learn along the
Yeah,
way. It's also a part of that whole resilience. It's like knowing when it's okay to table something and move on because it's not actually benefiting you anymore to continue that
exactly.
way.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say you do, whether it's day-to-day strategies or, throughout these periods where maybe burnout builds up, that you do to kind of take care of yourself? Like, what do you do to take care of your mental health, to take care of your physical health, to take care of your family life? What do you do?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not the best
Mhm.
at it, even though I'm extremely educated in it, which is terrible. Um, but being educated in it, in your own mental health, I think is a huge portion of being able to understand what burnout even is.
Mhm.
Because if you don't know the ins and outs about yourself and your own mental health and what conditions you may have and what you start to do, which is kind of like signs and symptoms of your mental health is not great right now. If you're not able to recognize when things are, kind of off or starting to trend in that direction of burnout, you're kind of screwed because you don't know until it's too late, until you're in burnout. So I think that one of the biggest things that does help me with burnout is just being educated in my own mental health. I do have some medical diagnosis, like we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
and just being educated on those and knowing what my triggers are for those, what things are going to make me overwhelmed and overstimulated, and how to navigate through that
Yeah.
is something that is going to go towards my overall mental health, and that's also going to help with when you put added stress, because that's just existing,
Yeah,
right? Just
exactly.
existing with ADHD. And then you add in like very stressful things on top of it. So I am very big on having recognition that, okay, these are my signs and symptoms that something might be trending in a way that my mental health is declining, or I need a break, or I'm putting too much on my plate. I'm falling into bad habits of trying to keep going, like in crisis mode.
Mhm.
And another thing I think is staying on top of, if you do have a mental health professional that you talk to, whether it be a therapist, a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, you need to continue that. A lot of people are like, well, I feel better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because it's working.
Mm. Mhm.
And they want to stop, they
Yeah.
want to stop that medication, or they want
Yeah.
to stop that therapy, or they want to stop that coping skill, like that healthy, habit for coping. And it's because, oh, I feel better, so I'm better. And it's like, well, you're better till the next problem happens. Um, so
Yeah.
I try to make sure that I'm aware of those things. And then there are days where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something for myself, even if it's just 10 minutes.
Mm.
Or like, I don't ever wear makeup. I have makeup on right now because I wanted to look like I cared about what is happening today. I also have terrible scars all over my face. And I'm like, these gotta
Yeah.
go. But I love makeup from being an FX makeup artist. And so sometimes I will sit down and before I do any litter boxes, I make sure everybody has food and water first. And then I sit down and I'm like, I'm just going to do my makeup. I'm not going anywhere. I'm scooping poop for the next 4 hours,
Yeah.
but it makes me feel better about myself. So I'm going to do it. Or I'll schedule a time that I'm going to go to the gym because I mean, I have to work out for work anyways, but
Right.
I notice that even when I don't feel like going, after I leave, I feel so much better. So it's something that I appreciate. Another thing is setting timers on my phone because with ADHD, on top of being so busy, I will get carried away with just like go, 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 go. These are all these tasks I have to do. I have to do this. I have to do that. And then I don't realize that like I haven't eaten. I
Yeah.
haven't sat down in 12 hours and I'm getting irritable around dinner time. And it's because I didn't eat all day and I never sat down.
Yeah,
Did a
exactly.
12-hour shift without going to the bathroom. Like, and so realized that I need to set a timer. And so I'll set a timer and be like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're going to sit down and you're going to eat lunch.
Yeah.
And I will make myself lunch and I will sit there and I will watch one episode of some paranormal show because I have a problem and I
Yeah.
will watch every paranormal show known to man. And I won't get up until that episode is finished. They're always like 30 to 40 minutes. And
Yeah.
so no matter what's going on, I'm like, I'm staying here until this dang show is over.
Yeah.
But it's forcing me to take time for myself in a weird way by having to schedule it and put a time. But if I don't, I'm not going to realize that I haven't done it and I'll just keep
Mhm.
going.
Yeah.
So those are kind of like small things that I've done for myself, just being aware of who I am and what my needs are, and also what my signs and symptoms for knowing something is going in a bad direction mentally.
Yeah.
Uh, Taking time for myself, even if it is like I'm gonna sit down and do my makeup, or I'm gonna take a nap because I'm tired and I don't care that I have things that I have to go on. I just need a nap, or I just want to be outside, so I'm gonna go sit outside. Like one day I went and got coffee at a park down the street just to drink coffee alone outside of the house, and there was a turtle that walked up to me, and I was like, "This is the best day ever."
It's
And I
awesome.
was in such a terrible mood, such a bad mood. And I saw that little turtle and I picked it up and I drank coffee with this random turtle. And my day was like the best day ever. I was like, oh, like everything's good again. But it's just little things like that. Like, yeah, you might be late for an appointment or something because you did take that time, but like, too bad. You need that time. You
Right.
can't just keep scheduling things to the point that you can't focus on your health. Because I mean, they tell you all the time in school, the school that I've had to take for my job, if you're not good, you can't help anyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So I try to remind myself of that. Hey, if I'm not doing good, there's nothing I can do for the cats, for my family, for work, nothing. So I need to keep myself in check. And it's hard. Like I said when I first started this long saga of my answer, I forget
Hmm.
or I put it on the back burner on
Yeah.
purpose. It's easy to do that when you have living things
Yeah.
relying on you and you feel like you can't take that minute.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's 24/7. So yeah, trying to remember to carve out the space for you and your wellness is, yeah, it's easy to push it aside because I think that anyone in any type of helping capacity, they're kind of oriented that way, for better or for worse.
Mhm.
So, yeah, remembering, to put yourself forward. And it's not a selfish thing. And it's, the world won't crumble beneath your feet if you take those
Right.
10 minutes, that it'll be
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I think a lot of people that have trauma backgrounds or just people in general, I know that relaxing is uncomfortable for
Yeah.
me. It's very uncomfortable. Silence is so loud.
Mm.
It makes me want to like rip my skin off. I hate it. I hate it so much. And it's because I have to sit there with my own thoughts. It's a trauma response.
Yeah.
Um, and you have to say like relaxing and like taking time for yourself is not doing a task that needs to be done.
Yeah.
It is setting aside time to do something that gives you like a good feeling or that you
Mhm.
enjoy.
Yeah.
That is not a necessity. And
Yeah.
it's so easy to try and confuse those things to get away with not taking the time.
Exactly. Exactly. And no, I think that's a really important distinction too, right? I think, yeah, maybe there's this concept of you just have to do nothing or just be, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be still and
Right.
quiet, but yeah, it's about finding those things that are re-energizing or fill you back up or,
I mean, your
no,
inner critic is going to tell
yeah,
you, or at least mine is, it's going to
yeah,
be like, well, look how dirty that floor is. And you're just laying here, just like a lazy bum. And
yeah,
I'm like, why are you so mean for one? Okay. But I mean, people have those inner thoughts because they're like,
yeah,
here I am, I'm home and the house is not clean and I'm sitting on my butt. Why am I sitting on my butt when the house isn't clean? You know? And it's like, because you need to.
yeah,
You need that few minutes. I'm not saying take 12 hours, but
right. But some days you might need a 12-hour break.
I mean, some days you do.
Yeah.
I was sick this whole week. Like, I'm surprised my voice is even normal. I sounded like an angry, scratchy old man smoking packs of cigarettes for the last like 4 days. And there was one day I literally was just like, I have to go to bed. I
Hmm.
made sure the litter boxes were done. I made sure there was no pee or poop or vomit anywhere that somebody was going to step in, and everybody had food and water. And I said, "Peace out, world." I just went to sleep because
Totally.
I could tell my body couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Um, you mentioned that many of your cats have maybe some special needs. And I'm wondering if there is, I mean, I know you mentioned Poe, but maybe it's Poe, maybe there's another cat of yours that their particular story of resilience really touches you, or when you think about the resilience of any of these cats, like how that impacts you, how that influences you.
I think Evan and Cullen are the start of this whole thing. I got very lucky coming into rescue because I never had a TikTok account. I didn't care about TikTok, but I made one to start posting about what was happening with this feral cat colony. One, because honestly, I was just so desperate to try and find information, education, help, because I had nothing.
Yeah.
I still live in a very broken house that I cannot afford to fix. I don't make a lot of money. And, there I was as that person uh, that had no time and had no business taking on a feral colony, standing in the middle of nowhere at this abandoned house. And there's an entire feral cat colony there, and they're all so sick, like deathly ill. There's lice everywhere in the grass. There's rats the size of Yorkies.
Mm,
Didn't even know was a thing.
mm-mm.
The mosquitoes were so bad, I had to wear like hats and long sleeves and long pants while I was trying to just feed them.
Mm.
And I saw how sick and these cats had nothing. I mean, they're in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to get food or water or anything. And it was heartbreaking just seeing that this is something that's happening that I had no idea was happening.
Yeah.
And as I'm standing there looking at this situation of what in the world am I going to do to help because I can't even, take care of myself. And here I am with 25 feral cats and I don't know anything about them. A car pulled up and was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but the people who live around here, they run these cats over for fun as a point system game. And I was like, what? I thought she was kidding. I was
Right.
like, no, there's no, like that wouldn't happen. And she was like, it's been going on for years. And I was so just like dumbfounded that this was a thing, that that was even happening. And then I'm also like, how could you look at these animals with how sick they are and they're barely surviving, and then you think I'm gonna kill them for fun, and then it's more than one person because they have a game out of it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that's when I was like, I got to do whatever means necessary to get them out of here, and I don't know how to do that. So I'm just going to post on social media, and maybe someone can point me to another rescue, or they will send me $5 to buy food for them or something. And because I was posting about this, I was driving 30 minutes one way to go out there and feed them and trap cats by just borrowing other people's traps. I had never trapped before. I had no idea what I was doing. And it was like a dangerous area as well.
Mhm.
So I was doing that and posting about it. And then the last cat was Evan. And he was so terrified of people, he wouldn't go anywhere near the traps. And he wouldn't even eat with me within 30 feet of him. So I started documenting that story like, hey, I got all of these cats and I put them in my house like an idiot because I don't know what I'm doing. And I just wanted to save them. And I'm still driving, an hour every day to come feed this cat that wants nothing to do with me, but I can't leave him here. He looks
Mhm.
terrible. He's so sick, and I know there's people wanting to kill him.
Yeah.
So I just kept coming and I kept documenting it, and people fell in love with this, this poor cat that slowly over time they started to see that he was letting me come sit within 10 feet of him when he was eating and everything. And then it was like, okay, now we're going to trap train him and we're finally going to get him. And we kept thinking we were going to get him and we weren't. And so everybody's like, on this cliffhanger movie, essentially, like, we got to get Evan out of here. And we finally get him. And I drove straight to the vet, which was only 10 minutes away. And they do an x-ray and they find out that it's not only that people were running these cats over, they were shooting them
Oh, yeah.
as well. Because he had 2 bullets in his shoulder and he had a broken hip from being shot. He also had a hernia that was like the size of a softball. I mean, it was massive. And he needed a dental. He was covered in lice, double ear infection. I mean, and he was 6 years old. So everybody's like, just put him down. And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, do you have 20 grand? And I'm like, no, no, I don't. But his story had started to go like mini viral
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
all the stuff that it took to get him. That at that point, people just started donating. So I'm not even a rescue yet. And I was able to get him the help he needed. And everybody was like, why are you spending, 10 grand on this senior
Mhm.
cat who's
Mhm.
feral? And, like you could save 40 other cats with that. I understand that. And I get that logic when you have such a massive problem of overpopulation.
Right.
Um, but I think everyone deserves a chance, which is my fault because I will straight up just be like, no, we got, how many $20,000 cats we have here?
I have no
I'm
clue how many.
made of gold by this point. Okay. Like, because I don't give up. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
not fair that because you were put in this terrible circumstance,
Mhm.
that because of finances, you should die.
Yeah.
Who am I to say that you deserve to die just because of finances? I don't think anyone should die because of finances, animal or person. And the fact that we have to make those decisions is terrible.
Yeah.
So he really became like a big impact on my stance on feral cats because even with getting people to raise money that first initial visit and telling them what's wrong with him and being able to get his hernia surgery, and then it was like, all right, well, let's raise money for his hip, and then oh, he has a heart murmur, so now we have to get a cardiologist involved, and it was just like this constant roller coaster. But at the same time, people are seeing this beautiful story unfold of this cat that wouldn't let me even give him food within 30 feet of him,
Mhm.
is now asking to come sit in my lap. And it's showing people that, like, this cat was shot. He watched his brothers and sisters be run over on purpose. And here he is trusting people again.
Yeah.
He's worth it.
Yeah.
And he is expensive, but he's living an amazing life and he deserves that.
Yeah.
And so what's happened because of him, all of the critical cases in my area that most people are not going to want to take on because they don't have the resources and the funding, or there's the mindset of we can save this many versus one. And they end up coming to my door, hey,
Mhm.
will you take this cat on? And of course, myself is like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Like, I
That's
know
gotta be stressful though.
it is stressful. It is
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah.
And I've had to come to points where I had to say no.
Okay.
Um, but at the same time, I'm lucky that the followers that we have are very responsive and very willing to give in an instant to another emergency case that comes in. I have that resource at my fingertips that a lot of people don't,
Mhm.
just because of the types of followers that I have, which is another reason why people come to me. They're like, even if we want to take this on, our followers aren't going to donate like yours do.
Mm. Mhm.
Like 2 years, you
Yeah.
know, you'll get it done in 3 days. And it's happened multiple times, 3 days, 4 days, a week. We're paying $5,000 for a surgery for this cat that's supposed to be euthanized or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I have to keep in balance because you can get used to being bailed out, you
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
multiple times. And you have to realize what you can and can't take on because of the ones you already have, which is, a hard lesson that I've had to learn. Um, but yeah, I would say that Evan, he's the one that started this whole thing. He's still here. Some of his feral brothers and sisters are still here.
Mhm.
They still hate me, and that's okay. They hiss at me, and I'm like, I love you.
Mhm.
And that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah. 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 That's so interesting. I mean, it's interesting about the feral cat aspect and like how try and rehabilitate them ultimately to be kind of adoptable for households. But are there just some cats that just may not get to that place, or like, what is your perspective on that?
I think it really depends on the cat and what they've
Yeah.
been through.
Hmm.
I think there's some cats that are going to take a lot longer than others.
Hmm.
And there's some that they may never be what people would deem an adoptable cat.
Hmm.
Because, when you want to adopt a cat, you don't want a cat that isn't going to come near you. That's not what you're looking for
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
adopt a cat. You don't
Exactly.
want a lap cat. You want a cat you can pick up and carry around and do TikToks with, you
Yeah.
know? You don't want the cat that looks at you from 30 feet away like you're going to kill them.
Yeah. Exactly.
um, but it can happen. I saw it with Evan,
Yeah.
and his brother Cullen was one of the worst ferals I've ever had. He would lunge across the cage with just me being in the room
Mm.
so hard that the cage would actually like jolt forward.
Yeah.
And I just refused to give up on him. Everybody who was in cat rescue would look at the videos and be like, girl, it is not worth your time. He's never going to be socialized. And I'm like, no, he's going to be socialized.
Yeah.
And it took me, I would say, close to 6 months,
Mm.
but very slowly over time. Now he is one of my most cuddly cats.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He is so cuddly that he waits for me to come sit down on the couch to watch TV because I have like I'm going to sit down and watch TV after dinner every night. And he will sit there and he is waiting. And then he is just rubbing all over me, head bumps, and he will cry for me to come. Evan cries. If he hears me outside his room, he cries until I come in. These are cats that literally try to rip my face off. So it is worth it. It is worth the time. Like it's just like
Hmm.
a
Right.
person who's been through unimaginable things. We should just give up on them because it's going to be difficult.
Right.
No, But again, you do have to have the time and the resources to be able to dedicate to it. So I do understand that not everybody wants to do it or is
Yeah.
capable of doing it. I do, honestly, as weird as this sounds too, I'm able just myself, not by like certain methods or whatever, to turn feral cats into socialized cats. And I
Hmm.
think it's because of mediumship, to be honest.
Mm.
There's some kind of like unspoken energy transfer, and I can literally feel it
Mm.
happening. And it's not like I hear anything like when I'm communicating with
Yeah.
the dead. But there is something in the air that's different. And it's almost like we lock eyes and we're kind of like one for a moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's when I know, okay, I can touch them.
Yeah.
And they just stop. They just let me touch them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's something about my energy or vibes or something
Right. Totally.
that is able to do it, as weird as that sounds, but that's truly how it happens. Like they're literally coming at me and I'm just standing there like, no, I'm gonna love you. It's gonna happen. You know I'm stubborn and I'm not gonna leave. So you might as well just give in. But then there is a moment of like, okay, it's almost like they
Mm.
understand that like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not going to hurt me. I trust her. Now that moment ends quickly
Sure.
and we have to reinforce that moment over and over and over again. But it is possible. And
Hmm.
I wish that I could do it like I wanted to initially, just take in every single cat and take the time to do, the socialization and everything. But I mean, I have close to 70 in the rescue right now.
Wow.
And I mean, it's like 1,000 a week to feed them and get litter. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, and like half of those are never leaving. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
they're permanent residents because of medical disabilities.
Hmm.
Or like physical disabilities that the average person would not be able to take on,
Yeah.
or they're from the feral colony that I first started with that I don't have an outdoor sanctuary for them yet. So they're just here because they obviously can't be TNR. They couldn't go back
Mm.
that
Yeah.
situation where they're being run over and, shot.
Yes.
So they're just kind of a part of the family now until until we can figure out something better. But it's a lot of money and it's a lot of
Mhm.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't leave my home. I spend every day from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed is caring for the cats and cleaning the house to make sure that it's clean for my family and also for the cats.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever wonder how long you can keep this up? Or
Yeah.
do you find yourself questioning, like, can I do this? And what keeps you going?
I have a mental breakdown every couple weeks, probably. Uh, And I say that jokingly, but I will have like an overwhelm moment every probably like 3 or 4 weeks where I sit there and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And I want to go somewhere and I can't because who's going to take care of all these cats? Or I've had bottle babies keep me up the entire night and I'm exhausted and I had something important to do the next day. Um, and those moments I think like, how long is this really gonna work?
Yeah.
And then I tell myself that anyone who has quote unquote made it in life has been through the same thing. And it's not easy to get something off the ground. It's not
Hmm.
easy to create, I mean, essentially a brand and a business because
Yeah.
if you want to succeed as a rescue, you become a business and a brand.
Yeah.
And you have to market yourself every day to be able to get to the right people to become popular enough to survive. And that, I mean, that's not just money wise, that's resources and people helping you.
Hmm.
So I just remind myself that, these famous musicians that came with nothing,
Yeah.
they didn't get there because someone was just like, hey, man, do you want to be famous? No, they went through really hard,
Yeah.
awful times where they thought that it was never going to happen and they should give up, and they didn't. So I'm not going to. I'm just not. I truly believe that I can do this to where it becomes something that you say the word spooky whiskers, like, say those words and people know what that is. And I'm not going to stop until that happens because I can make a really big difference in many animals and people's lives if I continue that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Well,
at the cost of
uh,
my physical or mental health, but I'm going to be healthy about it, but I'm not going to stop.
okay. All right. As long as you're healthy about it. Well, I know the intention, what I hear you saying is the intention is to grow. And I'm sure that would include, having more help, finding the structures that allow you to continue to do the work that you're so driven to do. So, and with that persistence, I have no doubt that you'll be able to do that. And a shout out to your business slash branding. You've got some great merch out there, and it sounds like if you're listening to this podcast and you find yourself in South Carolina, in particular, Rock Hill, is that where you?
That's Rock Hill.
I mean, it looks like your most recent fundraising campaign is pretty sweet. So kudos to all that you're doing on there. That's really awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all a part of the whole picture. If you want to survive, you have to do everything. You have to do
Mhm.
social media, you have to do the merch, you have to come up with cool ideas.
Yeah,
Cat lovers will get you pretty far, but it'll only get you so far. So it's like you
for
kind of
sure.
have to find things to mix into it to be sustainable long term.
Yeah.
And so I decided to try and incorporate other parts of my life that fit in with the cat rescue to try and bring other means of finances and
Mhm.
supporters and stuff so that I can actually do the goal that I want to do.
Yeah.
Uh, so I hope the fundraiser goes. I'm really excited. I want to do it really bad, but I do have to find some places that are willing to partner with me and people who are willing to partner with me because it is one of those fundraisers where the prize is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out like what can I do to make sure that I bring in enough money for
Yeah.
donations that we keep afterwards that makes it worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So looking for those sponsorships. You're
yeah.
listening also, and you know someone who wants a sponsor.
I'm here.
Yeah. Well, so okay, so in that breath, if people felt compelled that they wanted to support what you're doing with Spooky Whiskers, how can they help you? What is the best form of support? Are you looking for volunteers? Like, what are you looking for? What are you needing?
I think right now it would be nice to have volunteers, but with it being completely inside of my home, I have had problems before with having people want to volunteer and then forgetting that this is also my private residence. Um, and not being malicious about it, but it's a weird line and it kept
Yeah.
getting crossed.
That's
So I think that hold on the volunteers unless it's like admin stuff for
mm-hmm.
now, physical
Yeah.
volunteers.
Yeah.
But donating either funds or supplies is huge for us. We have not had to purchase food or litter ourselves for a year because of people donating via Amazon and Chewy wish list. So I always tell people, donate how you want to. We have a Patreon account and it starts as little as $2 a month. It is a subscription just so that we can have a guaranteed income essentially for the rescue. There's a tier, it starts at $2 and goes all the way up to 15, but everybody gets the same benefits because to me, I feel like you're still donating, and
Yeah.
just because you're donating more doesn't mean that you get more.
Yeah.
Like that person who's doing $2, they still set aside that $2 every month for us.
Yeah.
So everybody gets the same thing. But so you have the monthly donation with Patreon, and then you have obviously we can do just a regular one-time donation. There's Venmo, PayPal, GoFundMe that's on a link tree that we have that's in our bio and our profiles where people can donate, or you can choose those Amazon and Chewy wish lists. Those help just as much because if we're not buying food and litter, then we're saving that money for medical emergencies and annual vet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, you mentioned the link tree in your socials,
Hmm.
and your social media handle is Spooky Whiskers Rescue.
Yes,
Okay.
Spooky Whiskers Rescue. It's on TikTok and Instagram. We do have a Facebook, but I'm going to be honest, I'm really bad at it, so I'm not there as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are on Instagram and TikTok weekly. I try to post at least every other day.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Very
merch.
cool.
Merch is
And
50%
merch.
goes to us, so automatically.
Yeah.
And
That's,
it's free marketing if you wear our stuff. So you donated, you got something in return, and you're marketing for us by wearing it.
yeah. Yeah.
Win.
Exactly. Well, speaking of that too, a lot of people, a lot of rescues also say, like, even if you can't give, share the story, right? Like,
Right.
share
Yeah.
whatever you come across, because you never know whose eyes land on whatever's being shared out there.
Well, you got to think that in marketing, they tell you one person equals 100
Yeah.
because of all the people that they know. So if you can't donate, like I'm somebody, I don't have the means to donate. I want to, and I can't. So as soon as I know that there's a cause I want to, I want to donate, but I can't, I'm liking, I'm commenting, I'm saving that post, I'm reposting it, I'm
Yeah.
adding it to my story,
Yeah.
because all of that puts it against all the followers I have. And then think about, that one person equals 100. Well, if I have 8,000 followers, and every one of them equals another 100 people, that's a lot of exposure you're
Exactly.
giving somebody. So it's just as important.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's very perfect. Well, I'll let you, I know you're a busy lady, so we'll wrap it up here, but I just really want to sincerely thank you for one, the work that you're doing, and helping these cats and helping with the greater mission of trying to get some of these feral colonies under control
As you see a cat zoom across the floor.
but it's very important work. So I appreciate what you're doing there. And then taking the time to sit down and have this conversation about the work and what it takes to stay committed and able to commit to the work that you're doing. So I appreciate
Yeah.
your time.
I think what you're doing is just as important as what we're doing. I mean, you're bringing awareness to it and you're bringing other rescuers together, making a resource for us. So this is a part of that education, thing we talked about earlier. So I think we're equally as important in this whole thing.
Play with our different strengths, but together.
Exactly.
Oh, well, I again appreciate you, Crystal. And again, if you're listening, following along, and you're liking what Crystal's doing at Spooky Whiskers, give her a follow, share the post, donate if you can. Link in the bio for Spooky Whiskers Rescue. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Crystal Wedra of Spooky Whiskers Rescue for sharing her story. If you were moved by this episode, share it with a friend, like or leave a review, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at animal.rescuehub, and even give Crystal a follow at Spooky Whiskers Rescue. And until next time, may we all find our own tale of resilience. Thanks for joining us on Tales of Resilience. If today's story moved you, reminded you of your own path, or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing this episode with someone else who cares. You can follow us on Instagram at zodi.pause and animal.rescuehub to stay connected, or visit zodipause.com or animalrescuehub.org to learn more about both of these organizations. And you can also email us directly at info@animalrescuehub.org. And if you or someone you know has a story worth sharing, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, be kind to yourself and never underestimate the power of a tale and a little resilience.